Hello traders, this is Matt Golden. Welcome back. I hope everyone has had an excellent start to their trading week. I'm going to go ahead and make this video to focus specifically on one of the premium indicators that are available within VantagePoint. And the whole purpose is to really, focus on these indicators in depth so you can understand exactly how they're going to help you as a trader. And as long as you understand the concepts, these ideas are very simple to enter into really a trend following strategy. And with VantagePoint being a trend forecasting software, that's really the angle that you want to take, in my opinion, using this approach and this set of tools here. So looking at the Williams Professional Sentiment Index, let's start with the definition. So the Williams PSI, or Professional Sentiment Index, is exactly how it sounds. It's measuring sentiment in the market. Now, it runs on a 0 to 100 scale, so it has confines. You can think of it as a percentage basis. And the default, which I think is a very, very good metric here, is above 80 is considered our exceptionally bullish zone or level, and below 20 is considered the exceptionally bearish level. Now, the idea here too is that we really only want to take note of this indicator when it's at its extremes. If something like sentiment is near a 50, that's very wishy-washy. That doesn't tell us much at all. Even if it's at a 65 or 70, you're just a little bit off 50, so it doesn't really tell us much. What we want are these extreme readings in the indicator. So I want to take note of times when we just touch above 80 or just touch above 20, and also when we reach extremes in the indicator. So at literally a 0 level or a 100 level, which we see happened back here, and a 0 right here. So how I want to use this and how I just want to incorporate it into my trading is really with a trend following approach here. And what VantagePoint is going to do is, when this indicator often gives false signals or is incorrect, there's no trade there. I mean, it's really giving you more of a context that there may be something coming in the future, but there's really no actionable, fresh initial, trade setup or anything there. But we can see here that our first signal from the Williams PSI, we got this kind of longer term bullish signal. I mean, it stayed bullish for quite a long time here. We first became bullish where this green line is drawn, and then it became 100% at this level right here. But we can see if we bring up VantagePoint, I mean, Neural Index was just so bearish over this whole time period. So that false signal, if we ever take any sort of trade on there, should not hurt us at all. And really, there's never even a medium-term crossover here from VantagePoint, and our Neural Index never lines up. So I mean, just nothing there. But earliest you get into the market is possibly taking a position back here. And look what happens here, to where, let's say you'd gone ahead and gotten long at that time, at that crossover. A lot of bearishness in the Neural Index. So we still had, some support in the market there, but a lot of bearishness early in the Neural Index, and the PSI gets bearish there. So you can see that even if you'd gotten long there, you can go ahead, lock in stops. If it does continue up, you're great. But definitely, defend that position there. Just go ahead and not be risking money on a position like this. And you see now Neural Index getting bearish again. Crossovers getting down. So not really losing any money there. But you see, as a shorter term trader using these tools, I mean, this is strongly bearish as well. PSI negative and Neural Index negative. That's essentially saying, negative sentiment in the market at these price levels right now, and your 48-hour forecast is bearish as well. So using these tools in combination is what's going to help you here. And then you see what happens here. You get your bullish signal, you get your Neural Index confirmation, and your crossover saying, okay, possibly go ahead and get long, and you get into a nice trend. And here's the next step, the next sort of key, and I'll zoom in here as we just sort of follow this trade along. If you'd gone ahead and got long here, that was your trade, right? You'd gotten long the market, and you're now trailing a trending market. The PSI is coming in to warn you of weakness up at these price levels. So you can, take profit at VantagePoint predicted highs. This is getting a little technical here, but, take some profit at the predicted highs, or trail your stops up, behind the trade and defend this position here. But you see that we get weakness in the market. I mean, Neural Index runs flat. The market is trading flat. Our short-term forecasts do exactly as they should. We can hold on to the trend because we got a great entry, using our VantagePoint tools in a really simple way, as we should. but knowing, hey, we can take some profit along the way here, improve the position if we do dip down to the predicted lows, and manage the trade more effectively that way. But again, everything in VantagePoint here really telling you, look, stay in this market, maybe take some off here, but get back in, and away it goes again. So that's that market. We can see ATI here. Let's just move on to the next one. Again, VantagePoint's going to keep you out of these markets until it's time to get in. So by the time you get this, bullish PSI signal here in ATI, it tells you, overall, we've got this, bullishness in the PSI. We may want to prepare for a setup, but our short-term tools do what they should. Neural index flips up to a 1 here. Possibly if we're, about as aggressive as we can be, that's where we're going in and buying that bottom. But eventually we get our crossovers. We're getting our, medium-term standard crossover, neural index getting our good entry. And exact same thing, exact same concept. If we'd gone ahead and decided to take this trend off of this PSI signal, well, now our only trade was, to the long side, and these PSI signals are simply saying, look, manage the trade, maybe take some off in the short term, use your VantagePoint neural index as your short-term tools to help manage these things more effectively. But the trend is still up. You see everything still saying, look, hold on to some of this at the very least, possibly improve the position and take some profits along the way. But it's just knowing how to use these tools in context is really going to help you out here as far as understanding how you can incorporate this into your trading style. So, PSI, it's going to be just more short term, but you just want to use it differently if you're a swing trader or position trader, or even a day trader, because these PSI signals can often, with the neural index, inform of some kind of quick market reversals at times too. So S&P 500 here, same sort of idea. Market here in a downtrend, bring up our neural index. Holds down, comes up to a 1, now we want to now we have trend on our side. Let's go ahead and get into the market when that neural index is up at a 1. Again, PSI gets bullish, neural index up at a 1. Much rather be buying on these days here in the market after these PSI signals really than anything else. So, buying in at these neural index signals, you see now we get a bearish signal, but had you been buying in at these levels, you've got a trailing markets. Take some profit along the way, trail some stops behind it as well, and trade it that way. Now go over to, let's look at some Forex markets. So we see Aussie, New Zealand. I've covered this in a lot of other videos, but this is really the key to helping you not lose money. Let's say you'd gone ahead and went long the market here. Off of these PSI signals, and VantagePoint was giving some, we can bring up our neural index, some bullishness in the neural index here, but we know to look, let's take profit at these levels when this PSI is getting bearish. You see, once the neural index goes down to a 0, you're getting some, substantial weakness over these time periods, and sure enough, the market gives way. Neural index heavily down at a 0 over this entire time period here, and just now getting another PSI signal, becoming bullish again. So you can avoid a lot of this downward move. You'd gotten long here. If you had a long bias, you would just be simply waiting on things to get bullish again, possibly, before any sort of opportunity is there for you again. So next opportunity, British pound. I've covered this one where you could sort of recognize generally, hey, there was a strong PSI bullish signal back here. But this is actually really interesting. I mean, I've obviously been following this real closely. But you see, when the PSI got bullish, this market was in a very heavy downtrend, so no trade for there at all. Here's where the neural index comes up to a 1, and we see that's where our, really our support begins to, start to come into this market. But by the time, our PSI signals start getting bearish again, look what VantagePoint is doing. We have neural index up for 2 days. Look at these crossovers starting to come into the market. Crossover to the upside, but neural index down to just complete conflict. Fairly early that, as far as a real strong, longer term short position, VantagePoint is really warning against this. Our short term tools do exactly as they should. But look, another PSI signal, but look what VantagePoint is telling you by this point in the trade. I mean, before you get all this, strength in the market, which we've covered, the other Williams indicators and VantagePoint, really pointing this out, it's just really telling you, look, this short-term weakness is going to come in, but VantagePoint keeps you out of losing money even when these PSI signals are negative. And that's what I'm trying to get across is if you use the indicators together in a pretty straightforward and a really logical way, you're going to do well. You're just going to be really improving your entries and your exits in the market. We can look at Cocoa here. I covered this recently. PSI signal bullish, yeah, we're getting a lot of bullishness there in the market, that's for sure. PSI signal bullish, again, getting a lot of bullishness in the market, but these are, very defendable positions when you're trading them, especially with VantagePoint here. You see, getting in on the neural index with that bullishness, you got a lot of time here to get in, and neural index is very, very bearish before this, really goes against you very much at all. So, hey, step aside, get bullish again, you get in on a trend on the next bullishness, and you've made a ton of money on these Cocoa contracts. If you're, in there trading the futures or trading, ETFs that model these things, definitely getting good entries off of these VantagePoint tools and knowing, hey, I've made this great entry. I can go ahead and look to take profit in the short term here, trail my stops in, and trail this trend in the market. So I think that's all the markets that I covered from the last video. I hope this wasn't terribly confusing, but if it was, what I'm just going to show in the next video is we're going to combine all this together. So the market accumulation index, combine it with the professional sentiment index, and our VantagePoint tools in the short term, and that's what's going to protect us on every sort of time frame, and just make sure that we're not doing anything that doesn't make sense for any reasons. If we use this sort of methodology and this logic to find the strongest trends where every single piece of this looks as clear as possible, and there's a pretty simple conservative money management strategy there, you can make money. I mean, I don't have any doubt that people can do this with some practice. So as always, I hope this has helped. Everyone have a great rest of their trading week, and as always, thanks for watching this. I do appreciate it. Bye now.